Okay, hey folks, Phil the Bee Man here. Step 3 of queen rearing, making some holes. You got to have a place to put these cells when they're about to hatch. I use kind of a continuous nuke situation where I overwinter nukes, let them build up, and then when sort of right around dandelion flow, I will go into them, take surplus queens and surplus brood to make nukes, and then replace those queens with queen cells. 2 weeks or so, they are hatching, not hatching, but laying eggs, and then they run as production colonies for the summer. If I'm really short on queens, I might go back and take a second crop of those. This system used to be all the queens I wanted and more. As the rest of my operation has gotten larger, it doesn't really keep up anymore, but it is a real nice shot of fresh genetics and fresh bees in the spring. So I'll show you what these look like. So there's a kerf in this box, and inside of that there is a sheet of plywood. And then when I'm running these production colonies, I keep the excluder on so that the queens can't interact and kill each other. And I'm so diligent on that you can see that when I put the pesticide strips in this spring, we didn't even break the excluder off. We just poked it through the excluder itself. So that's a bit of a chore. I'll be honest with you about that. But because these are quite strong and they're kind of crammed into 5 frames each, the queen could be just about anywhere. So you got to really be diligent in watching for her as you take the lids and the excluders off. Now you can see that plywood cut there, and so I have a 5-frame nuke and a separate 5-frame nuke. More smokers than I needed. So getting the first frame out is always a bit of a chore. You got to make sure that there's no burr comb, and then I use my hooked hive tool to very slowly and carefully work these out. This is the first time I've been into these this spring. When it's cold, you can hardly break these apart, so they kind of get neglected in early spring. I feed them, and that's about it. And most of them now are 4 frames of brood and a queen. So the first job is to find the queen, and I keep everything that it comes out of here. No putting stuff on the ground or leaning brood up against hives. Usually when I'm doing this, it's either too cold for brood to be outside the hive or too hot. And so I just be very disciplined about always keeping everything together. So that's a frame of feed. You get 1 frame of feed and 1 frame of bees here. That wants to fall over. These are built up very nicely. Well, looks like I didn't find her on the first pass. We also got, oh, there she is right on the wall. Come in here, Sergi, and have a look at her. I'll try to use my shadow. You can see the shadow of my hive tool is right on her there. Okay, so I'm going to grab her. And then we're going to mark her. She goes into that nuke. A matching tag goes on top. And now this one, I think that's about all it can spare. So I've taken a frame of bees and 2 frames of brood out of it. I will leave this with 2 frames of brood. And then that will get a queen cell as soon as they're available, but we like to wait at least 2 days. 3 is probably best. And then I'm going to go into the second side. Need another neat box. This one you can see how this nuke has grown, right? That would have been the original brood pattern, and then as it got larger she filled all this in and has come back as this is hatching out. Oh, there's our girl. Darker one this time. Now, I'm going to put her in my pocket. First we will mark her. Cage her. And then she goes in my pocket. If you're wondering why I'm wearing a bee suit all of a sudden, it's not because it's so stylish, it's because I need the pockets. Marker pen goes in there. Okay, now I can finish making this up. So I want 2 frames of brood left on that side. That gives me 1 frame of brood here. And a frame of feed and honey covered in bees. Hopefully that's this one. Lots of bees there. So now we have 3 frames of brood and 2 extra sort of, a bit of food, a little extra bees. The bees that are just on the brood are never enough. It's 15, 16 degrees right now. It's supposed to go down to 3 tonight. The bees that are on the brood at this temperature aren't enough to keep it warm at nighttime temperature. So you got to have extra bees in there. And then I'm leaving this 2 frames of brood each side of the divider. And I call these holes. When I close this up, I will put a circle showing that there's a space for, with my marker, showing that that's where cells will go. So and then when I think about places for queen cells, I call them holes. So these units, that's almost exactly average, where out of a single unit that had viable queen on each side, I get a nuke and a queen. So I can now take that extra queen, make nukes out of my other hives, and I'm also getting bonus hives out of these. So that's how I run. I think we run, well, we're well over 100 queens so far, and I think we're making up our third. We filled all the holes in our production colony sites, and now we're just starting new apiary sites. So I'm pleased with the results. So that's step 3. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day.